Hi there again. Hopefully you enjoyed your break, and I hope it included a tall, cold glass of chocolate milk because that's exactly what we're going to hit on here in Unit 2, Mini Lecture 2, where we're going to focus what the content that's in Chapter 5, Milk and Milk Products. So let's get to the information here. Major sources of global milk production, of course, milk cows are the number one producer by a long, long stretch. But of course, there are a few other important milk producing species in the world, and especially in other different countries. The U.S. is the leading producer in total pounds of milk from cows, at about 215 billion pounds per year. But there are other countries that are gaining on us in some regard. Generally speaking, one cow is going to make about enough milk to fully feed 60 people per year in the United States. And that accounts for about $90 billion in consumer expenditures. And of that, cheese is the number one product, actually. Look a little history data here. In 1956, the U.S. Contained about 20 million milk cows that only made just shy of 6,000 pounds of milk per year. And fast forward to 2019, just over 9 million cows in the United States with a production average over 23,000 pounds of milk. So you see, we've gotten a lot more efficient with about 60% less cows than we used to have. The composition of milk is made up obviously primarily of water and fat, and then a few other different things, which include protein. Milk fat is the major flavor component and accounts for just under half of the caloric density of milk. Carbohydrates then is about 30% of the total calories and constitutes about 4.8%. The lactose that is the primary sugar in milk is not quite as sweet as sucrose, but still sweet enough that milk is considered a pretty sweet product. Of course, then we have proteins. Milk is an excellent source of very, very highly digestible protein, of which casein is the primary milk protein. It's very, very high in quality and digestibility. It's very easy for your digestive system to break down and absorb those key amino acids like lysine. And then in addition, it's very, very high and dense in vitamins and minerals, especially vitamin D, calcium, phosphorus, and zinc. Occasionally, you'll see a different hue, color to the milk. Especially, if I give you an example, like Guernsey milk is a little bit higher in some of those minerals and vitamins, and so gives off a little bit of a golden color when you talk about Guernsey milk. But that combination of calcium and vitamin D is really, really essential for bone growth in youth, immune response. It's really important. So primary milk products, of course, fluid milk, or what we'll call bottled milk, about 215 billion pounds a year in terms of production. The major product in terms of sales is cheese. And of course, my favorite down near the bottom, ice cream. 918 million gallons of ice cream sold in the United States every year. Now, it's important to know, well, how many pounds of milk does it take to make one of those products? From butter, just shy of 22 pounds of milk to make a pound of butter. Cheese is about 10 pounds of milk to make a pound of cheese, all the way down to cottage cheese or non-fat dry milk. How many pounds does it take to make those products? So if we break those out, fluid milk, about 90% of the milk sold in the United States is grade A, bottled as whole, 2%, 1.5% one or skim. Personally, I prefer whole milk. Will be okay with 2% milk. I personally can't handle skim milk. I don't think it has a very good taste to it. But it's generally in the store. It's all pasteurized. That's required by law in Illinois, and nearly all of it is also homogenized to keep the milk fat from separating. Of course, then you have other products like evaporated and condensed milk. Some of those are good for baking, transport, and so forth. Fermented products like yogurt and sour cream and cottage cheese, very beneficial bacteria to help in proper fermentation. Butter and cheese are the oldest forms of storing and processing and transporting milk product. Butter is about 80% milk fat. And for a while, it took a lot of heat for being not very healthy. And that margarine would be a healthier product for you. And actually, butter has made a huge comeback in the health market and is now known to be quite a bit healthier than some of its imitation substitutes. Cheese, and this textbook lists 400 different kinds of cheeses, but I would submit to you, if you do a little Googling, you may find that that's well north of 1,000 different classifications of cheeses, different types of cheeses, but they're classified based upon moisture content from very soft all the way to very hard cheeses. We want to break those out a little bit more individually in cheese classification, what their description is, and what varieties might go along with it. From things like Italian Gorgonzola cheeses, things like Danish Blue, mozzarella fits in here. Cheddar and Colby American and Swiss cheese is in that hard cheese category. The soft or fresh cheeses is cottage cheese, cream cheese, and things of that nature. Basically, all of it is good with me. So who's the leading cheese producing regions and states? We are, the United States is the leading producer of cheese in the world with about 12 billion pounds of milk, or billion pounds of cheese, excuse me. But in terms of cheese producing states, Wisconsin is the leader in production, followed closely by California in terms of cheese making. Other products, of course, I referenced ice cream. Eggnog is a seasonal favorite. Dry milk when we talk about using it for the export market. So what about the imitation products? And I'm going to refer to them as beverages, like almond beverage or oat beverage or things of that nature. None of them have the limited number of ingredients like whole milk does, nor does it have the high health profile that natural milk also does. All of them are constituted powders with water, trying to imitate the taste of milk. So they're very, very different products and act very differently. So please don't confuse them with milk. If you're around any good dairy farmer, they'll probably chastise you whenever you call those milk products, because they're not. They're beverages. All right. So let's look at yearly per capita sales of dairy products in the United States. I mentioned cheese was the number one, and there it sits down there, leading the way in terms of, or near the top in terms of total sales. And this is pounds now, so that's not as dense as some of these other products. But low fat and skim milk, low fat would be anything less than whole milk. So that 1.5% skim, 2%. All goes in that category. So that's the leader. Now notice we've lost some sales, and the soft drink market has historically been a problem for milk sales because of how sweet it is. In some regards, milk sales is trying to make a comeback. It's being more recognized as a good, healthy, wholesome product. When we talk about health considerations, it's healthy for all ages. It's good. Milk in the jug is good easily for 10 to 14 days, unless it's ultra high temperature or UHT processed at pasteurization. Then you can get several weeks shelf life out of it. The quality responsibility of the farmers, processes, and consumers is all a shared responsibility. It's tested every bit along the way. Of course, the quality control in the milk parlor to make sure that that product is as wholesome as it can be, leaving the farm, getting on the tanker, is a shared responsibility all the way through the bottler that puts that product into a good container with attractive packaging, trying to keep that bacterial count very, very low. Milk is cooled to about 38 to 42 degrees Fahrenheit immediately, and it's tested for quality all the time. And generally speaking, milk that's harvested today is going to be on the shelf tomorrow, or at very worst 2 days from now. In the world market, a small percentage of milk actually enters the world market. Of course, because of its perishability, it is difficult to transport very quickly. Right now, the European Union and New Zealand are the biggest exporters, but I can tell you, having traveled internationally, that they both keep a very, very close eye. Whenever the world milk market on export is in demand of milk, the Americans are some of the best at putting a lot of milk on the market quickly. So they always pay very close attention to what the Americans are doing from a dairy production standpoint. The majority of the U.S. milk is sold specifically in grocery stores, though that direct marketing is gaining popularity. And I'll specifically call out a couple of local producers. The Marcoots up in Greenville, Illinois, have been making their own cheese from their Jersey cows for quite some time. It's a great little business that they've gone direct marketing, as well as the Milk House. which is Rolling Lawn's farm product, also in Greenville, Illinois, started bottling their own cream. Now they've expanded into several different milk product lines and just added ice cream to their product. Would also recognize the Kilgus family dairy up in central Illinois that started one of the pioneers in bottling their own milk in Illinois and have a great little processing plant right on the farm there and sell a lot of milk right out of their Jersey cows right out the farm. But most of the commercial marketed milk is priced through milk marketing cooperatives who control 90% of the milk. Only 10% of the milk product is marketed direct off the farm. Here's a picture of an on-farm processing facility, just kind of a standard photo. All right, some take-home messages as we wrap up this section. So I want you to be able to describe consumer preference and keys to marketing dairy products. Discuss how we can add value through increased sales, whether we're talking about direct marketed poultry product, direct marketed dairy product, or even amplifying those products commercially. How can we differentiate them so consumers are really interested in buying them? And then assess the importance of consumer confidence and its relationship to sales. Of course, poultry has utilized that health angle for quite some time to get consumers to buy their product, and the dairy business has struggled with consumer confidence at times in terms of the quality of their product. But we're doing a lot to ensure that consumers understand that milk product is as healthy as it can be, and it's great for you to consume. It's awesome in your diet and is not actually associated with very many health disorders that you really need to worry about. So those take-home messages are important. Make sure you review all the slides in the slide deck here, and we will be looking forward to interacting with you in class and getting after it in a lab activity associated with this section. Thanks for tuning in.